Have you ever watched one of those 80s charity events in black and white on TV? They were very entertaining. There'd be rows of people answering phones and a large sign that was revealed at the end of each hour telling how much money was raised. Those were charity events of yesteryear. At the University of Kentucky, a very avid charity event found on campus is Dance Blue. Of all the hundreds of organizations associated with UK, Dance Blue is the most unique. The organization is essentially a charity event working hand in hand with the pediatric clinic. The dynamic of the relationship the clinic and charity share is a unique one. The Dance Blue organization came about in 2002 in connection to the UK Children's Hospital Pediatric Hematology Oncology Clinic. A boy named Jarek Minear, who died of cancer in 2002 and wished to improve the clinic at UK, inspired the organization. In addition to the clinic, the Dance Blue organization has a yearly marathon consisting of 24 hours of dancing. All the proceeds go to keeping the clinic afloat in research for clinical use at the Markey Cancer Center. It made me wonder, is the amount of money made at a charity event enough to run a pediatric clinic? Opening a clinic that is connected to a university may not be that hard, financially, but can a charity event make enough proceeds to run a freestanding clinic? In order to answer these questions, I did an interview with Maxine White, a member of the Marathon Committee Board, and read Ken Terry's article, Going Solo, Startup Basics. To see if I could find answers to my question, I spoke with Maxine White. She is, as aforementioned, a member of the Dance Blue Marathon Committee that puts together the lively event yearly. I felt that talking to someone on the committee board could give me some insight on the relationship the charity event has with the clinic. She knows from the inside the partnership Dance Blue has with the University of Kentucky and the money aspects of the Marathon Committee. I started off with some simple questions that caused for a yes or no answer with an explanation as to why she felt that way on the matter. And I just asked whatever came to mind about the program. Maxine, do you feel that partnering with UK brings in more money to fund the clinic?
The presence of Dance Blue on campus absolutely brings more money into the clinic. Money raised goes to the Dance Blue Kentucky's Children's Hospital Pediatric Hematology Oncology Clinic through the Golden Matrix Fund. In 2015 alone, Dance Blue raised over $1 million.
Do you think that Dance Blue is only successful because of their affiliation to University of Kentucky?
No, I don't think Dance Blue is such a success solely because of its affiliation with the university. Although it is a large part of the marathon, the participants and part of the funds raised come from students. There are many sponsors and supporters outside of the community that contribute to its success as well.
Her replies sometimes were thin, but did carry weight as they answered questions I could not find answers to online. Also, those answers made me think. Yes, the amount of money raised in 2015 brought in from the charity was a lot, but would the charity have the sponsors and supporters it have without the aids it receives? Would any of the progress the clinic has made be feasible without the university? From another question I asked Maxine, without the help from the university, profits were not that much. She stated, through the combined efforts of the community, the Jarek Minear Fund would eventually raise $448,000. I did not take that amount too seriously since that was the amount of money the organization first made when the organization started in 2002. And since then, the organization has been partnered with the UK. But without the university's help of publicity, would the $448,000 been the amount of money the charity would have made roughly each year? If you guys wanted, would the money that the marathon brings in be able to sustain a clinic that was not tied to any wealthy third party? Why or why not?
I'm not sure of the exact amount of money that one would need to keep open a clinic. Even with that in mind, I think Dance Blue's goal is to help the Kentucky Children's Hospital in any way that they can, whether it be renovation costs or an entire clinic.
Thank you, Maxine. She answered questions as anyone a part of an organization that wants to promote their cars would. I could not be mad at her. But according to Terry, a company would need roughly $285,000 yearly to run a freestanding clinic. In a blog post on the article Going Solo, Startup Basics, I briefly summarized the gist of the article. While reading the article, it says that there are several complex issues that the group has to consider when opening a clinic. At first, it may seem overwhelming, but the best advice is to hire a consultant right up front, and that will put you down about $5,000 to $10,000. The article also talks about how useful it is to hire one because they had experience of opening a clinic, and that in the long run, the money will be made back up. Next, it talks about the cost for setting up space, buying insurance, employee payments, and technology. Collectively, that would be roughly $120,000 to $165,000. However, the article also states if one finds good used equipment, quite a bit of money invested in those. Rather than buying an EMR system, one can find an internet-based service provider for cheaper. The article goes into details on obtaining insurance. The clinic has to have malpractice insurance as well as insurance to cover their employees. There also has to be a personal property insurance to cover equipment. The owner of the clinic has to comply with government regulations and may need to hire a bookkeeper or accountant to handle the business aspects of the clinic. Lastly, the article talks about the staff. The clinic needs to decide how many employees they actually need. In general, a primary care practice needs 2.5 employees per doctor plus a receptionist. If the clinic is going to see children, then the clinic needs 4.5 employees per doctor. Depending on the size of the clinic, management might also need to hire a part-time billing person, part-time records clerk, and a person who can float from front to back office. Also, for recruiting for positions, the article talks of newspaper advertisements and word of mouth. This article talks of meaningful ways to save money and run an efficient clinic without help from others, like the Dance Blue Clinic receives. The article states how more employees are needed when working with children. Will the number of children coming to the Dance Blue Clinic be reduced because there are not enough doctors to treat them? The Dance Blue charity brought in over $1 million this past year for their clinic. In this article, not all prices for what is needed for a clinic is brought up. Would it be feasible for the Dance Blue Clinic to run apart from the UK health system? How much does it take the Dance Blue Clinic to operate, and what do they do with any of the profits they have left over? All in all, the interview with Maxine White and the article by Ken Terry helped me with my research as to see if it's feasible to open a freestanding clinic with proceeds from a charity. If the Dance Blue organization did not partner with UK, they would make roughly $448,000 a year. Terry stated that roughly $285,000 a year would be needed for a clinic, but it has to take into consideration that this article was written in 2003. Would $448,000 a year be enough to sustain a pediatric clinic? Even if it took exactly $285,000 a year to run a pediatric clinic, would only $162,000 a year be enough for any outside charges the clinic would have to deal with? The amount of kids the clinic sees is proportional to the amount of money brought in. Would a freestanding clinic be funded by the Dance Blue organization when it was making that amount of money be able to see the amount of kids the Dance Blue Clinic sees of today? Further research should be done to fully answer the question on whether or not it is feasible to open and run a freestanding clinic with the profits from an annual charity event.